Hey everybody, Lia Tsukino here. Welcome to a game called Ebon Lights. Now, I have no idea what this game is about, and I hope this game teaches me how to play, because Under Bliss. Are they all just long hair? Fine, I'll go for the Bella Swan. Look. Select a disposition. Guess I'll go charm. There was once a tomb that burned only the living. The people who built the tomb were plagued with a terrible affliction, but before the affliction could consume them, they were sealed with plague. They sealed the plague away in the body of a creature. The creature itself was kind and gentle, so very much that, in the great nobility of its heart, it had accepted its fate without complaint. But the people were afraid that one day the creature would escape from the tomb, and the affliction would return. So they gathered the remaining warriors, and they made their warriors into guardians. The guardians swore an oath that they would guard the creature for as long as there was need, even if that need would be endless. With the creature they entered the tomb and sealed themselves within, unaware of what they had promised. Years stretch on, and the guardians stood vigil. The affliction no longer threatened the people, and so, as often people do, they forgot. But deep where the light could no longer reach. Sorry, I'm gonna bring my mic up a little bit. Oh, frick. I didn't read that. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to get my mic to a... say, and it won't, so. For who can truly comprehend the unending? Time had turned their duty into a torment, and they were consumed by desperation. They yearned for the light, the warmth of the sun, and they despised the darkness around them. When their desperation became rage, they betrayed the creature. So they're talking about the warriors. They clawed out of the earth and were blinded by the sun, unaware that they had unleashed a forgotten affliction. Are you done? Yes. In Edric, stories are usually relished. What else is there to do with an idle mind? And what was I to take from this miserable tale, Lia? Darkness can't be sold away. A terrible affliction contained. If ever stories I've ever been is even the tiniest bit true, stuffing darkness under a rock never works. I see. You have much to do, Lia. Go on, get to work. You can reveal the quick menu here. Okay. On my way into the village, I discover that Edric had visitors. It's rare to see outsiders here, but these men were an exception. They came just often enough that they were no longer surprised by them. Most of the time they kept to themselves. But even the friendliest of their number would grow evasive and choose words very carefully. If asked too many questions, unluckily, for their demise of meddling, we disliked change, and we left each other be, and suited one another fine. Really? Put my phone down like that. As it would happen, I was caught in a conversation with another one of our visitors. Rylan, a crew member of the Serpentine, the most beautiful ship man dared dream of. Not that I had anything to compare with, nor the wish to disagree. What is it? Spice, my dear. But from where? Well, I'm not sure. You're not sure where you stole it. You can't tell me anything about it. Surely you have some idea. You remember where you got it, don't you? I remember when, yes. But, well, I'm not sure whatever you're imagining is far more interesting than the truth of it. Press the issue. I really prefer to have at least a slight idea of what I'm getting when I trade. I realize this eccentricity of mine but bear with me. Oh, surely you can guess why it might be difficult for me to give you details. Why you might be better off not knowing. And that is exactly why I want to know where it came from. I don't know if I want to be involved in whatever it is. Calm down. It's nothing that scandalous, my dear. It's just a spice. And modest amount at that. I obtained it along with few other equal mundane trinkets. Uh-huh. Besides, do you really care where I got it? Of course I care. Morally aside, ill-gotten gains have dangerous consequences. Look at you, concerned and worked up. You're not taking this seriously. That's true. I am certain you have nothing to worry about. Whatever it is that you suspect about my dealings, this little pouch of spice was a simple side venture. Entirely legal and almost completely worthless. So, do we have a deal? Rylan wanted to trade his mysterious pouch of spice for a few of the ramps in my pack. It was unusual. It was an unusual opportunity. But I have no room for frivolousness. Everything we forged was accounted for, and everything lost an empty belly. And there's Rylan to consider, of course. He's an entirely chaotic element of his own. A sailor. Charming enough now, and while I never seen him do anything suspicious, his idea of hanging is probably steal or kill. He's like Seahawk from She-Ra. I agreed to a trade. Rylan, you have a deal. Wonderful. Rylan turned to Reed to leave. I wanted to ask, Rylan, you're leaving so soon? Itching for stories, aren't you? Well, of course, you already knew that. Alright, I can make a bit of time. Which stories shall I tell? Something rare and beautiful? You want to be charmed. You want to be charmed, is it? You want a captivating tale of allure? Alright, let's try a classic. You know what a mermaid is. A mermaid? A woman who's part fish? That's it. You hear about mermaids up and down the coast. Every other village has their own particular tale. Usually their own particular description of what it goes where to. You hear stories of mysterious, crazy things all the time, and you learn to ignore most of it. But you can also learn to keep your eyes open, because every now and then, stories are true. One night, the ship was headed home to Lalari. The sea was calm. The moon was bright and heavy. So calm and so bright and so heavy that it was kind of strange. The oldest of the crew got antsy and began pacing the deck, fidgeting and twitching. Couldn't keep their eyes off the water. I thought something was wrong with them. But that was the day I learned to respect my elders. It was the rest of us that were wrong. A pair of the old men rushed past me and shoved me aside, so I spun around to see what they were doing. They're looking over the deck down in the water. So I do too. I see a dozen faces staring right back up at us. The old man started raving, screaming and shaking. Not sure what they were trying to do, but determined to start hollering loud, as they all could, all the while. The rest of us were just staring at the faces, all just barely under the surface of the water. Large eyes twinkling in the moonlight, unblinking, focused. They never surfaced. They stayed for hours, and then, just before sunrise, they all sunk deeper under the water, till we couldn't see them anymore, in unison, like a pod. Maybe more like a swarm. That sounds scary, huh? Beautiful, though. I never heard of anything like that happening anywhere, and I doubt it'll ever happen again. And if there weren't the most captivating faces. Are you sure that all that actually happened? Mostly sure. If it was some kind of dream or drunken visage. I'm not the only one who had it. Well, there's your story, my dear. Goodbye, Lia. See you tomorrow, eh? Aunt Vania? No one answered back. Our hut was humble, though I understood this was the only way that I understood somewhere. People that kept massive fields with servant and livestock. But elsewhere was elsewhere. Here in Edric, our hut was something to be proud of. No reason to feel shame or envy. Aunt Vania was, in fact, very proud of our hut, but looking at it, the only thing I could see was the fence in need of mending. It had been threatening to give way for weeks, though nothing new. It had been in one state of despair, or the next since I was a child. Try to fix it for the 232nd time. I look about for something heavy and found a rock. There was a soft ruffling of leaves from somewhere behind me. What are you doing? Hello, Aunt Vania. Find anything interesting? No, you didn't answer me. Oh, I just got home as well. You're home early, aren't you? I had a lucky day. Shara took out all the ramps bright and early. Yeah, well, then let's see if your luck holds. Switch packs with me and finish the forging. What? That's not fair. Save your breath. I have business in the village tonight, and my back is already sore. What business do you have in the village? Business? What do you have? What do you possibly want in the village? You hate going into the village. We do things we hate when they're necessary, don't we? What are you going to do? I don't have time to chat, Lia. Neither do you. Not with the whole forest to forage. So far, the forage was uneventful. I had my sickle, and some mostly empty packs, and a few unimpressive roots that probably should have stayed in the ground for a couple more weeks. The forest was warm today. It felt nice against my skin. I had a right to complain about the added foraging. But if I was being honest, the solitude was nice enough that I was enjoying myself. But I knew the burnt forest as well. There was little I would find worth foraging today. Though I knew where the woods kept its berries and roots, and though I had explored what seemed to be every tree and rock since I was young, I knew that the forest could never be fully explored. The sun was falling, beaming through the trees. It was time to go home. What was that? Climb up to the tree. I hadn't climbed a tree in ages. Who's there? Nothing answered. I was sure I'd seen someone. I ran home. When I made it home, I found Vanya gone. For once, I missed her terribly. It's not as though our hut offered much safety, not from people. Foragers did not come to Adric. Lia? Aunt Via, what has gotten into you? There was someone in the woods. There was? A person, a man. I think dark clothes? A man in dark clothes? Perhaps it was Porthos. No, I called out, and he didn't respond. No longer alone, I began to feel a bit calmer. Though I was still plenty terrified. I loosened my grip, and with it, the sickle fell to the floor. I hadn't realized I had been clutching it. I found myself sinking onto my cot. You're pretty spooked, huh? I'd never seen a stranger in the woods before. Well, I'm not convinced that what you saw was a stranger. Try to get a hold of yourself. I'll make you a hot drink. My aunt handed me a warm cup. Here. It smells sweet. Well, don't get used to it. The sweetness lasted only for a moment. Once on my tongue, the drink had an alternative taste that was quite bitter. Not exactly pleasant, but strange. I found myself lost to an effort to identify the taste. After it was all gone, I finally asked, "What did you put in it?" "Some of that spice." "Some what?" "Ryland spice? You just put it in my drink?" "It smelled like it would be good for it. You seem to have agreed. Drink it all without complaint." "But I was going to..." "A hot drink always calmed me down. And this is the thanks I get?" Unbelievable. A stalker, an aunt who puts unidentified spice in my drink without telling me, and an indefensible hut. I went to bed in a foul mood. I fell asleep quickly. Quicker than usual. What is it? Unfortunately, I didn't wake gently. You're going to make me mad. You're going mad on me, girl. Not just yet. No, I think not. I was having a strange dream, though. What was it about? You just woke up yelling something. I don't remember. Dreams are funny that way. What did I yell? Where is it? Everything's certainly been strange lately. I don't usually talk my sleep, do I? Do you think that if you did, you could have a cot next to mine? My loving aunt. Well, everyone has a weird night of sleep from time to time. I'll be gone then. Get your work done, Lia. You're leaving? Yeah. Not much choice. Starving is the worst kind of death. She left promptly, gone before I was even fully awake. I stared after her for a few moments as I realized I need to go back into the forest myself. She was right. Starving is the worst kind of death. And if you don't forage today, you don't eat tomorrow. Besides, I won't be lying if I said I wasn't a little curious. The woods seemed cold and unfamiliar, all sorts of wrong. I couldn't explain why I felt this way. Birds made their noises, and I hadn't seen anything unusual. I was certain it wasn't very cold, but still a chill stuck to my bones. Each step forward I took, I regretted. I considered time and time again turning back, yet I continued forward. I was already trapped, already in the throes of fate. Who are you? Where is it? And then the source of my unease finally revealed itself to me. The stranger waited for a moment before repeating his question. Where is Cathinal? I couldn't do anything more than stare. Who? Where is it? The man. Was it a man? Stepped forward with his hand outstretched as though it making it to grab at me for me. No, he definitely wasn't human. He didn't move like a human would. I stilled myself and forced some words. There's no reason we both can't leave from here peacefully. Peacefully, he said, as though we both had two different ideas of what the word meant. I doubt this can end peacefully for you, human. Well, I'm willing to try if you are. The legacy of my people is not one of peace. That you're still breathing ought to bring all sorts of questions and worries in your mind. Or do you already know why I'm here? I don't know why you're here at all. Do you know what I am? What do you mean? As in not human? Had you thought your kind to be alone? Why have you been following me? For how long? Since you got the Cathinal. I don't know what your Cathinal is. So you say. Does that mean you're a sailor? Sailor? No. You think I'm one of the pirates. I appear to offend him. I don't know what a Cathinal is. I wasn't sure how much longer his patience would hold. I didn't think that it would last much longer. Calling it by another name. Small black pouch, decorated in ancient Gathalian glyphs, containing a precious marrow. A pouch? The spice I got from Ryland was in a pouch that looked like what he described. Not that I knew what Gathalian glyphs looked like, but if I had to guess... The pouch? Are you talking about the spice Ryland gave to me? Spice? Oh, you didn't really think. Where is it? I don't understand. I'll make it simple, human. All I want is the Cathinal. I'm running out of time. And so are you. The Cathinal belongs to me. You have no means to challenge this. And you have no right to. So your options Lucky as you are, even to have them. Give me the Kathanto, or die. And what makes it yours? The Kathanto belongs to the Gathalians, and you're not a Gathalian. Gahalian. I am. Its symbol. You're Gahalian? Yes. And the Gathalian is mine. Now give me the Gathalian, or show me where you've hid it. I knew little of Gahalians, and nothing helpful. I already deduced this man was far more dangerous than anyone else I knew. I was out of options. Fine, but it isn't with me. Waving his arm, he seemed to be directing me towards home. Is he serious? Start walking. With only a brief hesitation, I began walking towards the hut. I waited outside, but while the elf went into the hut, I briefly entertained the idea of running, but along the way, I noticed the elf turned his head slightly. From noise to noise, every bird chirped. Every branch that broke, he observed. I'd also noticed that he walked. As we walked, my feet crunched and cracked. Whatever was underfoot, the ground beneath his feet was nearly silent. If I were to run away, I don't think I'd get that far. I had never been in a situation like this. I heard about the way people are outside the village. I heard that they were cruel and forceful, irreverent, violent. I heard they steal and hurt on a whim. Life was not forgiving here, nor was Vanya. But this was a different feeling I never experienced. And I never met anyone who wasn't human before. Yet, you're the first one. The first one I meet is now plundering my home for something he claims to belong to him. How did he get here unseen? Perhaps he was stowed away with pirates? A stowaway. A large elf among the Lalari pirates? Even I knew that the Lalari were known to be... There was a large pounding in my ear. The impulsive act was increasingly with a large beat in my heart. I realized that this might have been my last chance to change my fort. Look inside the hut. Bolstering my nerve, I creep inside the hut. Instead of peeking inside the opening, I knew better than to think. I had been able to come upon the elf unnoticed, but I still stepped lightly. When I peered inside, I found the elf staring back at me. It was half unexpected, but still unnerving. Human. Did you find what you were looking for? He seemed angry, growing increasingly irritated by the second. Is there a problem? His glare grew harsher still. I noticed that he found the pouch of spice, yet he didn't seem pleased. He stepped closer till he and I were standing on this side of the hut threshold, and the tension grew between his gaze before me, searching for something. I stumbled backwards, scrambling to stay out of his reach. What is it? The funnel is empty. I watched as he turned the pouch inside out and shook it in frustration. frustrated display. That would mean Vanya used it all. I had even begun to think of the implications behind eating some of what of this elf was after. A part of me had been hoping Vanya hadn't actually put the spice Cathantia in my drink.
What have you done with it?
The elf's demand was more intense and violent. I stared back in horror. How was I going to explain that He didn't
answer.
I watched the elf drop the pouch into a pocket in his coat, only to then notice he had simultaneously drawn a smaller dagger from his hip.
Get away from my girl.
I was surprised by my aunt. The elf's gaze remained focused on me.
The old woman.
What's going on?
You two have done something with the Cathantal.
What is the name of that? Is that the name of the spice that was in that pouch?
It is not spice. It is precious, rare, sacred marrow, and it belongs to my people.
Well, it's gone. The elf's temper boiled over. His pale face grew slightly red and hot with frustration. I had the sense to take a step back. But the elf grabbed me and held the dagger at my throat.
Gone. Gone where?
I tried to think clearly. If I was clever.
She drank it. Drank it.
Vanya.
I told you we thought it was spice.
I clamped my eyes shut, prepared for the worst. But nothing happened. The elf had taken a step back from me and was staring at me in a curious way.
Well, that's it then. Yes, I suppose so.
What? Though she hid it well, I could tell that Vanya and was surprised that the elf had agreed.
So much for history and its offerings.
I couldn't believe the elf was so easily satisfied. He'd been so obsessed with the Cathantal. And to find out it was gone, that I drank it, and then to be...
We're leaving.
We?
You're not taking the girl anywhere. Oh, I am. She drank the Cathantal. The Cathantal belongs to me. She belongs to us.
What a scene logic.
If you didn't want the spice eaten, you should have kept it closer to home. That it was not.
He waved his hand.
You don't have a choice in this. If you didn't want to be subject to your if you didn't want to be subject to the demands of your betters, you would have made yourself stronger. Or perhaps you would have avoided fumbling in history that doesn't belong to you.
But how do you even know we told the truth? You really just abandoned.
I think it makes as much sense as anything in this deplorable village. You didn't smuggle it anywhere. I would have seen. I searched the head of yours through and through. You. Don't get in my way.
I could tell that Vanya wasn't going to back down easily. She seemed calm. But I knew her better than that. I knew, and I also knew that my aunt was unlikely to achieve anything beyond getting herself hurt. Vanya, it's all right. The elf wants to drag you off to his cave. It'll be all right.
We need to go now.
All right, elf, I'll go with you.
I know.
You wasted no time leading me away. Walking through the forest with the elf at my heel felt like a death march. He hadn't said a word since we begun. I didn't choose to break the silence myself either. The elf followed from a slight distance, only stepping forward to nudge me in a different direction every now and then. I could tell that we weren't heading into a village, but that we were heading down the coast. Where is Kahalia?
East of here. Kahalia is an island.
An island? Does that mean you came here by ship?
You'll see soon enough. This way.
This time, instead of nudging me in a new direction, the elf had moved through the trees and called behind for me to follow. I stopped walking and stared at where the elf had disappeared to. I sent a look over my shoulder and began to consider. What was that? There was a strange noise nearby. And then for a moment, I saw the shape of a figure darting through the trees. Were there more?
Human?
The fear that whoever else was out there might be worse than the elf I already had pushed me forward. Elf? He didn't answer. He was moving fast, and I was losing sight of him. Where are you going?
To the bastion. It looks like we made it. Just in time after all.
And I'm gonna save here. Thank you guys so very much for coming out to this gameplay. And this game is actually so much fun right now. I'm excited to play more. This is interesting so far. Anyway, if you guys liked it, please consider giving it a thumbs up, subscribing if you haven't already, and oh, sorry, that guy's voice kind of messed up mine right now. If you want to watch more videos from me, please hit the bell notification next to the subscribe button, and you can personalize those to your preference. As always, links to my social media is down in the description box below. And I will... Oh, please follow me on Facebook. I will start streaming on Facebook eventually. Please join the official Lia Tsukino's Garden Discord group. That is also linked in the description box below. So yeah, you guys can join us there. As always, my heart and love goes out to each and every single one of you. Please stay safe out there, guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.